Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into one of the biggest challenges in education right now, the constant battle for student attention. In a world of nonstop pings and notifications, how are schools supposed to fight back against this distraction crisis? And what does the future of classroom management really, truly look like?
All right, so to really get our heads around this, let's start with a number. And trust me, it's a staggering one. We're not just talking about students losing focus. We are talking about a massive, gaping hole in our education budget.
Yep, $137 billion. Now think about what that number actually means. It's the direct cost of all the teacher time that taxpayers are paying for. But that instruction never actually gets delivered because of all the interruptions. So this isn't some minor classroom challenge, It's a core economic problem that's undermining our entire public education system.
And what's really wild here is just the sheer scale of the problem. 97%. That's nearly every single student using their phone during school hours. And let's be honest, the vast majority of that time isn't for looking up historical facts. Nope, a full 3/4 of it is spent on social media and gaming. In this right here, this just perfectly illustrates the human cost. This quote from a teacher on Reddit, it just captures the impossible burden we're placing on educators. They're already overworked, they're facing burnout, and now we expect them to single-handedly compete with the most addictive technology ever made. It's an insane expectation. So, how have schools tried to solve this?
So let's take a look at how schools have tried to fix this. And, well, why the most common solutions often create way more problems than they solve. It turns out the go-to methods have some really serious drawbacks. On one hand, you've got these physical pouches. They seem like a good idea on the surface, right? But in reality, they create these huge traffic jams at the beginning and end of the day. They cost a fortune to replace, and most critically, they block all communication in an emergency. On the other hand, you have the simple no-show policies, which just turn teachers into the phone police and do nothing to stop the distraction of a phone buzzing in a student's pocket.
And the reality is, you can never, ever underestimate student ingenuity. Districts spend millions on these pouches, only to have students immediately figure out how to beat them with magnets or by just banging them on a desk. It becomes this really expensive and, frankly, pointless cat-and-mouse game.
And this brings us to the most crucial point. This creates a massive safety liability. This quote from a student really gets to the #1 fear for parents. When you physically lock a phone away, you create what some people are calling the 911 liability gap, leaving students totally unable to call for help in a crisis. And just to be crystal clear, the idea of using signal jammers, it's a complete non-starter. Not only do they also block 911 calls, but they are strictly illegal under FCC regulations. We're talking fines that could literally bankrupt a school district. It's just not an option. So, this whole landscape of failed fixes has led to a pretty fundamental shift in thinking. If the old methods just don't work, maybe it's time to fight technology with, well, smarter technology.
And this is really the key question that's forcing a huge pivot in the world of education tech. The problem starts with the software on the phone, right? The apps, the notifications. So, can a physical bag ever be the real solution? The answer that's emerging is a pretty definitive no. The solution, it turns out, lies in using the device's own operating system against itself. It's called Mobile Device Management, or MDM, and it's a framework actually built by Apple and Google. It lets a school manage what a phone can and can't do at the OS level, turning off distracting apps while, and this is the key, leaving the cellular connection completely active for calls and emergencies. So, what does this actually look like in a classroom? Let's use the FocusGate platform as a concrete example to see how this MDM technology is being used to give control back to teachers. The whole workflow is designed to be seamless. With just a single click, a teacher can start a session and instantly rules are applied to every student's phone. They can see a live list of who's connected and can even change the rules on the fly, say allowing calculators for a math quiz or a specific app for group work. It completely eliminates that power struggle. A real solution has to be a whole ecosystem. It gives teachers simple controls, sure, but it also gives parents a dedicated portal to manage those critical emergency contacts. This addresses their #1 concern head-on: safety. That guarantee that 911 is never blocked, that's the absolute cornerstone. This chart just lays out the strategic advantage perfectly. When you map it all out, you see exactly why the software-based approach is gaining so much traction. It is the only one that checks all the boxes. It's legal, it guarantees 911 access, it's easy for teachers to use, and it's got a low risk of being bypassed. And critically, the cost model is fundamentally better.
schools can shift from a high, unpredictable hardware expense, you have to replace all those broken pouches, to a lower, predictable annual software subscription. It's not just more effective, it's more economically sustainable. But the story doesn't just end with blocking apps. The most advanced systems are looking ahead, and they're adding a completely new layer of value that could totally flip the script on the smartphone's role in the classroom. The next step is to transform the phone from a liability that needs to be controlled into an actual asset that can be used for learning. By embedding a helpful, course-specific AI tutor right into the management platform, the phone becomes a tool that can provide support, not just cheat sheet answers.
And this is such a crucial development. We know from survey data that teens are already turning to unregulated AI chatbots for connection and support. This gives schools a powerful opportunity to provide a safe, academically focused alternative, one that guides learning rather than just handing over the answers.
And all this leaves us with a final provocative thought. This technology gives us the power to enforce digital discipline. But is the ultimate goal just about locking phones down forever? Or is it about using that control to create a space where students can learn how to build a new, healthier relationship with technology themselves? The real question is, how do we get there? Thanks for joining me for this explainer.